Welcome everyone to the moment you've all been waiting for, the grand finals of Gym Challenge Summer number 3, and we have our finalists here on the screen. We're going to see Giovanni, Costa, and Arnie Wolf play for the right to be our champion today. I am Jesus Cornell, joined by Dennis here, and we are going to be seeing both these teams once again. Giovanni's screen of Dragonite, Fluttermane, Landorus, Urshifu Single Strike, Iron Hands, and Farigiraf, while Arnie has Armarouge, King Gambit, Indeedee, Iron Hands, Genpao, and Dragonite. What do you make of this grand finals?
I mean, obviously we saw Arnie make really good use of that Indeedee Armarouge in the previous series, in the semifinal series. Giovanni, on the other hand, had to play his quarterfinal matchup against a whole fairy team, meaning that Urshifu Single Strike, which has a Dark Terra type, and is a Dark and Fighting type, really didn't play well against that matchup, but plays a lot better in a matchup where it's against a setup which mostly does Psychic type damage. So I expect to see a lot of that Urshifu Single Strike, but also can't overcommit to Indeedee Armarouge in the case that it is not those two Pokemon that are doing most of the work here.
Now it's going to come down to who can play better between these two players. Which, by the way, both Gio and Arnie are the 1 and 2 seeds respectively. So we are going to get set to go ahead and see an Indeedee King Gambit lead for Arnie, and Giovanni just going to lead the Landorus and the Dragonite, and that's an Intimidate already onto this King Gambit.
That's already a pretty scary King Gambit. Does have the Terra Fairy plus the Terra Blast in order to hit the Dragonite in case that Dragonite does not Terra. Would still have to go through the multi-scale, but either way, Giovanni moving quickly, always moving quickly.
And he's already set his sights on clicking Earthquake against this King Gambit, so now it just comes down to how much damage this Earthquake's going to do against this King Gambit, because Indeedee, it could follow the Dragonite away, which is going to be
watch out for the Terra on either side.
Yeah, we do see Terra come out from Giovanni's Dragonite here as he does lock it in with that Earthquake. So now it just comes down to how much damage does King Gambit take from this Earthquake, because Sucker Punch can still touch it. We do see a Terra come out from Arnie.
Yeah, and that could be the Terra Fairy, which would allow it to at least not be weak to Earthquake. It will at least survive a hit here.
Yeah, it is going to be that Terra Fairy, so maintaining the priority control so it can't be touched by Extreme Speed. Lander is still susceptible to something like that Sucker Punch. Doesn't go for it, just goes for that Earthquake. How much damage is this going to be doing to both Pokemon at neutral? Not so much. There's a Terra Blast. This did target the Indeedee, so this might knock out the Indeedee, but if it doesn't, that's going to be detrimental. It does knock out the Indeedee.
Yeah, and that Indeedee simply just getting the Psychic Terrain up and not much else there.
Attack Leaf comes out from this King Gambit and gets the one-hit knockout in return to this Landorus.
Yeah, that's some huge damage from King Gambit, and now the question is, we'll see, well, one, I'm curious what Arnie is going to bring out as well. Does have a Dragonite of his own. I'm upset, I'm bothered by this Indeedee. I don't know, I feel like the Indeedee, it was nice when it followed me and got Trick Room up, but here when it just kind of fainted to get Psychic Surge up, I guess Armarouge is now out here, but Armarouge is going to struggle against that Urshifu.
At the very least, this King Gambit can touch this Urshifu, but this Urshifu is carrying a Focus Sash item, so it's able to take at least one hit if it were being one hit knocked out, but that Armarouge not going to be as equally appreciative of Urshifu.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't know if Armarouge will be able to take even one hit from this Urshifu. If it's able to take a hit, it can Heat Wave. Let's see.
Yeah, not even close. Not even remotely close.
Not even close.
And now we're going to have to find out how much this Joy Span Terra Blast Flying does to this King Gambit. And I have a terrible feeling it's going to be a knockout because of how much damage Dragonite was doing earlier. It is
indeed a knockout.
And Giovanni just proving that his hyper offensive mode with this team is just so powerful to use.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be game one. I don't think this Iron Hands is going to be able to deal with both of these Pokemon coming through here. Just so much damage between all of the Pokemon that Giovanni has put together here. Does have the Fergarath as like a more supportive option and something to set or also reverse Trick Room if it wants to, but either way, that just does so much damage.
And Giovanni wins game 1 in record time, and I believe that was around 4 minutes.
Yeah, that was pretty quick.
Wow, it's just Giovanni now 1 game away from winning this gym challenge, and could this potentially be what we see potentially for a future event like Pittsburgh Regionals?
We'll certainly have to see. There are a lot of people going to regionals nowadays, but Giovanni, obviously a fantastic player.
I mean, he did qualify for Worlds last year. Pretty impressive resume on his end. Just, I don't know how he hasn't won a local event so far in this new era, but it's going to be pretty hard for Arnie to come back because he actually saw like a lot of his team is slow, and it's just like if he doesn't get up Trick Room, he cannot win any speed wars.
Yeah, and I wonder if either Arnie will more heavily prioritize Trick Room or just leave the Ndidi out altogether, because the King Gambit was a decent idea, but the King Gambit wasn't able to Sucker Punch because Ndidi had come out and put up the Psychic Surge.
I mean, it would have been able to Sucker Punch the Landers, but he took care of the problem by himself.
Yeah, the anti-synergy was there, and Ndidi just didn't help anything. I don't know what Ndidi did.
I mean, certainly Gio did try to call out a follow me there with that targeting there Ndidi.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, now that I think about it, I think Ndidi went for a Trick Room trying to get it up, but Gio smartly targeted the Ndidi to make sure they never got that Trick Room up.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it would have had to have either Trick Roomed or Dazzling Gleam. Those were the only moves it had that weren't priority.
And we're going to head to game 2 once again. Gio 1 game away from winning Gym Challenge Summer number 3. Arnie needs to win 2 in a row to get back into the set. And Arnie is going to be sending out Armarouge and Ndidi, so he is going to try to prioritize the Trick Room matchup as Landers Dragonite comes in for Gio.
Yeah, and this time, if Ndidi goes down turn 1 to a double attack or a follow me or anything like that, it's a little bit better. At the same time here, yeah, there's we'll see how Giovanni decides to play against this. Obviously, the Earthquake from Landorus would ignore the follow me and do a bunch of damage to Armarouge if it doesn't Terra into that Terra Grass that we've seen earlier. But even then, that would mean an early Terra.
It would, but instead the Lander's just going to switch out here, go into the Farigiraf, so we could be seeing an anti-Trick Room come in here as Giovanni once again terraces Dragonite.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked so well so far, and there aren't a whole lot of obvious picks other than this Dragonite. It means the Dragonite does so much damage with the Choice Band, with the Terra Blast, with the Flying type. Flying moves are so strong.
Arnie Terras too, and I wonder if this is the Armarouge that was scared of an Earthquake, and it is.
Yeah, it's gotta be. This could be scary. I don't know if Giovanni targeted the Ndidi or the Armarouge. I believe no one's even moved yet. There is
follow me here. So even if the Dragonite did go for the target onto the Armarouge, it wouldn't have been able to get the connection there. I wonder if this Ndidi survives the Terra Blast from this powerful Dragonite. We're gonna see the damage roll. It does survive.
Does take the 1 hit, and Trick Room does come up, but now the issue is Farigiraf, which I'm not sure the exact speed stat layout, but Farigiraf might be able to turn off Trick Room before anyone is able to move.
Trick Room always has negative priority, so it's always going to be the last thing to move, and we see Ndidi once again go for a follow me here as the Armarouge just goes for the expanding force. Dragonite does have multi-scale, does take it pretty well. Farigiraf actually takes it decently well, even though it is Life Orb boosted. Farigiraf not going to reverse Trick Room, just going to go for the Hyper Voice, knock out the Ndidi, and the Terra Blast will just knock out the Armarouge as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that would be tough for Arnie to come back from. At that point, Farigiraf is regardless going to be one of the faster Pokemon on the field. Iron Hands potentially in the back, but even then it'll be difficult for Iron Hands to deal with this Farigiraf.
And Gio still has that Landers in the back and 1 more Pokemon, which I think I saw it be that Urshifu single strike, but Arnie has that Iron Hands, and I think if this is King Gambit, this will be a bit easier to deal with. It is going to be that King Gambit, so dealing with that for regraph is going to be a bit easier, but you have a Dragonite to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously potential switch outs.
Double switch. So it's a double switch coming in for Geo.
Yeah, this could be interesting. A double switch here would, double switch here would give the +1 attack to King Gambit and the -1 attack to Iron Hands.
It's going to be the Urshifu filling in for that Farigiraj, trying to avoid that dark type move into that slot, and Dragonite will switch out for Landers to make sure that Wild Charge going into that slot will do nothing.
Yeah, and it could also make it so that Giovanni, the Pokemon that Giovanni needs to finish out the game are faster Pokemon.
You know, we see part 1 being the dark type move into the Urshifu, and they got the read perfectly correct.
Yeah, perfectly read move there, and even if Arnie is now able to use the Trick Room to take out these two Pokemon, it stalled out another turn of Trick Room, at which point Dragonite should be able to deal with most of the rest of this game.
Yeah, that's like the thing that's becoming much more difficult, because even though Landorus, we do know Landorus gets knocked out by a Catalcleave, but it could also just be an easy switch out for a sacrificial reason, but I wouldn't see any good reason to do that when King Gambit will just get stronger and stronger if you just choose to do that. Yeah,
you don't want to give King Gambit like a way to win this game, but at the same time, Landorus can potentially
Landorus just gonna switch out and wants to shut down that Iron Hands for later, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess the idea is simply that you can deal with King Gambit.
Yeah, we're going to see the Urshifu D-Tech doesn't want to take a Drain Punch from his Iron Hands as long as his Trick Room's up. Catalcleave does go into the Dragonite slot and will pick up the knockout, so Dragonite's Reign of Terror has finally ended.
Finally, this Dragonite is, I'd like to see the knockout numbers on this Dragonite because it has done some serious work. Now at this point, I believe this turn Trick Room and Psychic Terrain.
No, it doesn't. It's one more turn.
Is it one more turn?
It's one more turn.
Okay.
Farigiraj comes in, so no Sucker Punches anytime soon, but that wouldn't even have mattered anyway because the Psychic Terrain's still in play. Now it just comes down to this. If this Urshifu just switches out into Landorus.
It does, and I think the Urshifu... Here's the issue, is that Urshifu wants to take out this King Gambit.
Oh, no switch outs! We're going to see the Catalcleave go into the Farigiraj, going to knock it out. And if this Drain Punch does enough damage to Urshifu, I think this might be a game again. And it is! Wait a minute, is that -1? It might have been... Yeah, it was a critical hit. Oh,
wow.
No!
That's tough.
And now this King Gambit has a clear path to victory. The Psychic Terrain just... No, it doesn't matter because Psychic Terrain don't even work on a Lander, so it's just a flying type.
Yeah, and that is simply it for this one. I don't really see a way out for Landorus here. Sucker Punch can come out +2 and will almost certainly pick up the knockout onto Landorus, I would imagine.
Wow, given that unfortunate circumstance of that critical hit, if it weren't for that, I think you would have already been declared the champion. Yeah,
absolutely. It would have been close for sure, but it definitely would have been a close combat coming out into King Gambit and Landorus dealing with Iron Hands, but we've got a Game 3 in our hands.
Yeah, one more game to decide the championship, and Arnie... I really feel like Arnie did all the right moves. I mean... I don't know if going for the Terra necessarily onto the Armor was necessarily the right move, because that could have been easily read by that Terra Blast on the Dragonite, which I believe is taking like 5 knockouts total.
It's gotten a lot of knockouts. I don't know that I've seen that Dragonite use a different move than Flying Terra Blast, which is rare because you have to use your Terra in order to do that. But there simply aren't a ton of answers to that Pokemon. The classic spam your flying move strategy that has been so good in so many so many formats of VGC.
Yeah, I mean, flying is definitely a move that has this typing advantage. It's just you just don't have any immunities to flying. You only have resistances.
Yeah, and even a lot of the resistances aren't super common and don't necessarily take a lot of moves extremely well. We'll see what the decisions are for each of them here. Arnie in the last game led with the Indeedee Armarouge. Indeedee, I mean, it did its job of helping Armarouge get Trick Room up. Armarouge then did a little chunk of damage, but it mostly all came out of King Gambit getting boosted by the Landorus. I was looking down, so I didn't even see what Geo picked.
I think he left behind his Landorus, so King Gambit's not going to get any free boosts anytime soon. But there's also something else I want to point out, where it's in that situation with that Landorus and Armarouge, that Landorus thought Armarouge was going to get threatened by an Earthquake instead of just hard swapped, which actually ended up buying King Gambit more time to set up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely an interesting decision there, and it did give King Gambit a little bit of extra time. At the same time, either way, Kowtow Cleave was coming out into that slot and was going to take out whatever was in that slot. But I don't know.
That critical hit really changed everything.
Yeah, that critical hit definitely impacted some things, but either way, we're here into Game 3. One game to decide the entire tournament here.
It is, and I believe we're going to see a different lead from Geo. Oh, different lead from Arnie as well. We're going to see Iron Hands and Armarouge, and we're going to see Dragonite for Regraph, and that means that Iron Hands cannot go for Fake Out. Unless, of course, his free rest switches.
Yeah, that is true. Although Iron Hands has had trouble fake outing in Psychic Terrain regardless, but either way, now no Indeedee here, so no Psychic Terrain. Armarouge could still Trick Room.
Or switch out.
Could be the Indeedee coming in.
It is the Indeedee. But this Dragonite tried going for an Extreme Speed. It's not going to work anymore, but I believe he's going to do the same thing he did for 3 games in a row, and that is going to be Terrestrialize into Dragonite.
Yeah, I mean, I guess no reason not to. Nothing else is too much better of a choice to Terrestrialize. And it means that you reduce the number of weaknesses on this thing pretty drastically.
See what happens here. Armarouge just protects.
Wow.
So he's trying to see if Giovanni sets the Trick Room for him. Okay. As the Terra Blast just goes into the protect. Does Regraph click Trick Room here, or did he click Hyper Voice or Side Shock? He clicked Hyper Voice. He did not fall for it.
Alright, that was interesting. We'll see how much damage Indeedee takes. That's not a ton of damage.
A Life Orb on the Regraph as well.
Yeah, but interesting first turn for sure.
Oh, quickly on the gas pedal, where both players made their move almost instantly. This Indeedee is going to have to take the knockout for Armarouge here, as this Terra Blast will be enough to knock it out from that range.
It certainly will be, but Armarouge should be able to do whatever it wants to do here, and that what it wants to do is most likely clicking Trick Room. It's a lot of damage.
I mean, Life Orb for Regraph's no joke. As the Trick Room does go well, we do know about the Iron Hands in the back. But, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty sure combination of Expanding Force plus Odd Charge would be enough to knock out a Dragonite, but instead we get a King Gambit in here instead.
We do get King Gambit in. Armarouge is, I mean, this is probably the last gasp of Armarouge here, is whatever it does right now, which I'd imagine has to be an Expanding Force, and even then it might get knocked out by one of these two Pokemon.
Yeah, I wonder how much this King Gambit is going to do, because we've seen Urshifu every battle, and we have not seen Terra been expended yet, so Terra Fairy King Gambit can still be a possibility if it holds on to it. Armarouge protects again.
Ooh, it protects.
I mean, we do know that Terra Blast is not really going to be doing enough damage to this King Gambit anyway, because we're just going to break the multi-scale with that Kowtow Cleave. Dragonite goes for Terra Blast into the protect, and I believe we saw Hyper Voice go into the King Gambit. Nope, we just reverse Trick Room.
Yeah, reverse Trick Room, which now gives the speed advantage back to Giovanni. And that means that the Armarouge is not really going to be able to achieve anything at this point. We'll see what the King Gambit is able to do, but the King Gambit isn't really getting any free boosts from Defiant.
As there is no Landorus.
Yeah, there's no Landorus that can come out here for Giovanni.
King Gambit could get a lot of damage in, but it's just the problem now is that you have a reverse Trick Room, so you probably needs a double protect here, or swap out into the Iron Hands, but we've seen how much damage this Dragonite's been able to do to Pokemon like that Indeedee, so I wonder if his Iron Hands is going to take it relatively well. I expect it to do at least half.
It's going to do a lot of damage here.
It's going to be doing a lot, and it is just over half.
It does a lot of damage.
Kowtow Cleave into what was the Regraph is now the Urshifu.
And that's a brutal pick. I don't think it would have taken care of the Dragonite by itself, but leaving the Dragonite to be able to click Terra Blast again virtually for free is not the preferred outcome here. Still no Terastallization used by Arnie. That might be the last resort here, but I don't know what Arnie is going to be able to do even with the Terra.
Yeah, Urshifu just switches that again, and it looks like it's going to be for that Farigiraf, so maybe he's accepting the fact that the Dragonite's going to be able to go down here, as Arnie does go for the Terastallization, and I assume that to be the King Gambit to Fairy.
Yeah, I would imagine the,
Yep.
Yeah. Carrying the Iron Hands already about to hit a flying attack into grass wouldn't do much. And yeah, we'll see what the Gambit can do here.
Yeah. Oh, goes for the fake out? Okay, I guess he just knew that the Iron Hands was not going to survive the turn, I guess, so he just tries to try a fake out just in case.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing, but not great.
I guess now it just depends on what this King Gambit did. Did it go for another Costa Cleave, or did it just go for the Terra Blast? Does go for the Terra Blast, and I believe it goes into the Farigiraf. I don't think this is enough for a knockout.
I don't think it is either.
It's 100 hull
damage.
It's 100 hull damage. And the Psychic Terrain's gone, so... Oh, wait, nope. Armor Tail's still in play. He cannot go for Sucker Punch.
Yeah, Armor Tail's still in play. Armarouge is out. Armarouge... I mean, if Armarouge is able to get through a turn, it'll be able to press Trick Room, but I don't think it's going to be able to. There's just so much pressure from Giovanni. So much pressure from that Terra Flying Dragonite. It's ridiculous damage.
I think the turn has to be Protect from the Armarouge and then try to knock the Dragonite to make sure you get a bit of breathing room, or maybe you just go out there to Farigiraf just because you need to get the Sucker Punches going.
We already got the Protect out of the Armarouge.
And the Farigiraf is fast enough to just go for the Hyper Voice into that King Gambit. See how much damage this does, and we're gonna see it do a decent amount of damage. Go ahead and take a bit more Life Orb recoil. Cast out Cleave just goes out of the Dragonite, and it's not even enough.
That's brutal. And might just be it for Arnie.
Yeah, Armarouge gets a double protect
though. Okay.
So it is going to be able to survive another turn, depending on where this Dragonite went with his Terra Blast, and he tried to go after the Armarouge again.
Yeah, but even still, Farigiraf is going to get another Hyper Voice down. It should be able to take down the King Gambit in 3 Hyper Voices. So it's going to rely pretty heavily on a potential Sucker Punch read next turn, I would imagine. Oh, gets the Farigiraf, actually. Oh yeah, so now it will be able to Sucker Punch in order to try to take something down.
Yeah, but the problem now becomes this Urshifu, because I don't know if Urshifu Sucker Punch knocks out the King Gambit.
That is also true. It might be able to from this range. And in general, I don't know what does any damage to Urshifu at this point.
Terra Fairy, Terra Blast.
Terra Fairy, Terra Blast, I suppose.
The Dragonite just go down here. Armarouge needs to be able to survive the turn. I don't think the Urshifu went for a Sucker Punch, so I think it's going for a Wicked Blow into this Armarouge. And if it does, then that means no more speed control for Arnie, and it is going to be that Wicked Blow into that Armarouge. King Gambit, all alone, has to face Urshifu and an Iron Hands.
Yeah, it sure does, and I don't know that it'll be able to get through this one. I don't know if it can take a hit from either of them, and it certainly can't hit both of them.
It certainly cannot, and we might be staring at a new champion at the Gym Challenge Summer Series, with Giovanni Costa now one move away from taking the set. King Gambit is going to get flinched by the fake out, tries to go for a Sucker Punch, he cannot, and the Wicked Blow does it. Giovanni Costa wins the Gym Challenge Summer Tournament number 3 with a 2-1 victory over Arnie Wolf.
Yeah, and just a dominant performance from Giovanni Costa altogether, all through everything we've seen in the tournament. Especially playing around that crazy Terra Flying, Terra Blast, Choice Band Dragonite. What a champion. Yeah,
unfortunately, there was no Conqueror against that Dragonite, as Giovanni Costa rode his favorite Pokemon into the skies and won the tournament on that note.
Yeah. And definitely a really fun tournament altogether. A lot of really fun teams that people were bringing out. I like where we've gotten in the Regulation D metagame. A lot of people playing a lot of stuff that's very fun, and also a lot of stuff that tends to work well and play well against each other. Just a fun tournament altogether.
Yeah, very fun altogether. We saw so many things do well. I think the most surprising thing about today was definitely that Mono Fairy team that made top cut.
That was a really fun team to watch.
It was. It just unfortunately fairies don't match up to a dragon apparently.
Yeah, shockingly, Dragonite is the fairy destroyer apparently.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Urshifu can do when it's not impeded by fairy types. And that's unfortunately how today is going to end today. So with that being said, this is Jesus Coronel here alongside Dennis Geisler. We're going to say so long for the people tuning in on twitch.tv/PowGaming, as well as everyone home watching from anywhere around the world. We're going to say goodbye and hope we see you next time. See ya.